Hello, class. Welcome. I wanted to talk today about air masses and fronts. Air masses and fronts. Now, take a look at the diagram here on the screen. You see there is a large air mass number one and a large air mass number two. As you can guess by the colors that air mass number one is cold and air mass number two is warm. Now, the reason air mass number one is cool is because it's coming from a polar region. A polar means North Pole or South Pole. And here we see a diagram of the United States so that you know that this is the Northern Hemisphere. So they're talking about the air mass of the North Pole. Of course, it's going to be very cold air coming down over these states here. Here is North Carolina, and in this diagram, North Carolina is in a warm air mass. So in a warm air mass, you expect not to have snow. You could have any other type of precipitation. It could be fair weather, it could be rain, but you're not expecting snow or sleet there. Now, between these two air masses is something called a front, and we're going to talk about that in just a few slides. Keep the word front in the front of your mind. Air masses. Let's look at another picture of an air mass here. Here are some other air masses, and as you can see, here's North America. Here's a cold polar front, and here's a tropical front. Tropical, the green is going to be warm. There are different names for different air masses. If they come across the continent, they're going to be dry. If they come across the maritime means the sea, they're going to be moist. So you can have a moist air or dry air. You can have tropical warm air or cold polar air. Here's a different picture of that. We have continental polar, which is continental means dry air. Polar means cold. So dry, cold air coming down into this area. Or maritime tropical. Tropical means warm, and maritime means wet. So warm and wet moving up. So here you have a mix of weather going to happen in our North Carolina region. Now, there's a thing way high in the sky called the jet stream. It is a real stream of air. It's not a jet, but we call it the jet stream because it is high, actually is higher than the jets fly. This is a very fast moving air stream high in the sky, and it's responsible for keeping the masses separate. It keeps the cold air mass on one side and the warm air mass on the other. And so they really do not mix that well. Now, let's talk about what happens when the jet stream moves. The jet stream moves across the northern hemisphere like this. If it dips down into America, it brings that cold air into America. Okay. All right, here's some pictures of the jet stream that people have drawn. The jet stream is kind of a wavy stream across the earth. Here we have under the jet stream is, let's just say, the warm air, and above the jet stream is the cool air. So here we have half our country is warm, half our country is cool. Here we are in the warm section, and above here, this whole section of the Rocky Mountains of the United States is going to be cool air. Okay, a front can bring us different temperatures. So the very front edge of the air mass is called a front. Okay, and when the front comes through, the front of the air mass comes through, it can bring us different weather. So a cold front is going to bring us cold air. A warm front is going to bring us warm air. Now let's talk about that. When I say front, that means the very edge of the air mass usually brings us precipitation, some kind of change in precipitation. Maybe lots of clouds, maybe the clouds make rain or snow or sleet. But let's just say in fifth grade that a front brings precipitation. A front brings precipitation. Following the front, it could be cold air, which could be cold rain, or just cold, clear air, or cold, snowy air. That's a cold front. A warm front, the front's going to bring us precipitation, but a warm front is not going to bring us any kind of frozen precipitation. So a warm front might just bring us warm air, or it might just bring us warm, sunny air, or it could bring us warm rain. It's fun to play in the warm rain in the summertime. Here's another picture of a warm front and a cold front. They work differently, but the front always brings us some kind of precipitation. A cold front brings us cold air coming into the area. A warm front brings us warm air coming into the area. Now, when two fronts collide, that makes a stationary front. That means they're not moving. They want to eat. They both want their way, and usually brings us lots of rain at the same time because they're both having a front. And remember, front brings us rain. Let's stop and think. Which is true about water and land temperatures? Okay, remember, in the daytime, the land heats up and the water heats up. But at night, the land cools off quickly and the water cools off less quickly. Okay, when a warm air mass moves up and over a cold air mass, what type of front is it? So if a warm air mass moves, we're going to call that a warm front because the warm air mass is moving. Very good. Thank you very much for listening and following the slides.